Good morning, Big Weir, roadtoroota.com with your morning horn of Z's, your sip of coffee. Today is the day we've been waiting for. Some people have been waiting for 50 years, over 50 years, the day that the JFK documents are fully released, the last 3,000 documents that they have not released for some reason. What is in it? Were they changed? Was everything redacted? Is it all faded? Nobody knows. And I do believe this is a turning point in the battle against the deep state. And remember, there's a lot going on the deep state right now, with the FBI and the CIA under fire for covering up the Clinton crimes and all the Obama crimes during the Obama administration. It's all coming to a head now, and at the exact same time that almost to the day that the last 3,000 pages of the Kennedy assassination investigation will be released to the public. I do think it implicates the official narrative as being wrong, and we'll see just how wrong it was, or what the circumstances were, and what the reasoning was for hiding it. And bravo to Trump for releasing it. A lot of people thought that this would not happen. I thought it would happen, because I know there's a battle going on between the good guys and the bad guys. And the bad guys do not want this stuff out, and the good guys do want this stuff out. So I am 2 thumbs up for the Kennedy papers, and we're going to take a look at them, see what we can find. It's going to take a while to get through them, most likely, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of questions to further question our government about. As where this should be. I mean, our government is the most corrupt government probably on planet Earth these days, and Trump is trying to fix that. No, Trump is not some kind of messiah figure, the be-all, end-all, this great guy at all. He's a bull stuck in a china shop, and the china shop needs to be roughed up big time. So that's what he's there to do, and that's what he's doing. And he is absolutely being rough and gruff and controversial, because that's what it takes. And it's the only way to get rid of these criminals. The PC world of yesteryear is gone, which is just amazing that he's been able to get this far, along with the people behind him. Obviously, it's the people behind him that are really pulling the strings. So we will see what goes on. But a lot of people are wondering, in the silver world, are wondering, I wonder if in these JFK documents they're going to talk about the silver certificate program, and all the silver bugs, not all of them, but a large chunk of them think that Kennedy was killed because he wanted to bring back silver certificates. I don't think that's the truth. I think there's a lot of, it's obvious from the executive order that he gave, and this executive order is number 11110, and it's this executive order, amended executive order 10289 from 1951, by delegating the Treasury of the Secretary to the Treasury of the Secretary the President's authority to issue silver certificates under the Thomas Amendment and Agricultural Amendment, as amended by the Gold Reserve Act. The order allowed the Secretary to issue silver certificates, if any were needed, during the transition period under Kennedy's plan to eliminate Federal Reserve notes. Remember, the Federal Reserve notes were backed by gold, or redeemable for silver. Sorry, they were silver notes. And the background on this is what's really interesting, because in November 1961, when Kennedy halted the silver sales by the U.S. Treasury, it increased the demand for silver, and the market price of silver above the U.S. government's fixed price has led to a decline in the government excess silver reserve by 80% in 1961. Kennedy also called upon Congress to phase out silver certificates in favor of Federal Reserve notes, which, according to the Associated Press at the time, were still backed by gold. Kennedy repeated his calls for Congress to act on several occasions during his 1963 economic report. He wrote, now this, all this FUD up top, it should have said plans to eliminate the silver certificates, not Federal Reserve notes. Anyway, this is what Kennedy said. This is his own words. So the guys who say, oh, Kennedy was killed because he wanted to bring back silver, it's not true. And this is what he wrote in his 1963 economic report. And this is a quote. I again urge a revision of our silver policy to reflect the status of silver as a metal for which there is an expanding industrial demand. Except for its use in coins, silver serves no useful monetary function. That was Kennedy. Everybody scratched their head going, what? In 1961, at my direction, sales of silver were suspended by the Secretary of the Treasury. As further steps, I recommend repeal of those acts that oblige the Treasury to support the price of silver and repeal of the special 50% tax on transfers of interest in silver and authorization for the Federal Reserve System to issue notes in denominations of $1 so as to make possible the gradual withdrawal of silver certificates from circulation and the use of the silver thus released for coinage purposes. I urge Congress to take prompt action on these recommended changes. So basically, Kennedy was arguing exactly for what all the silver bugs hate to hear, is that silver serves no useful purpose and monetary function. Of course, that wasn't true at the time. It probably is true now. But the big part of this is the expanding industrial demand. Now, also, you got to remember at this time, in the early 1960s, they had already taken this majority of the silver in the vault and moved it to the Manhattan Project. So most of the silver wasn't even in the vault. That's why Kennedy's like, we have a silver problem because we don't have any. So that's why he's saying, it serves no useful purpose, blah, blah, blah. All that crap that we hear. But there was no silver in the vault at the time, or very little silver in the vault. And according to General Graves, that silver that they removed, the 2.5 billion ounces of silver, was not reported to the press. It was one of the biggest secrets of the Manhattan Project. They needed massive amounts of silver for the calutrons. I wrote about it in this article a long time ago. Called The Great Silver Mystery Revealed. It talks about, at first I thought it was only 500 million ounces of silver were borrowed because that was the first report. And that's the calutron. Those are the magnets there. That's the silver melted down into the shape that needed to. These calutrons, what they do is they separate the uranium. And basically it's the uranium... Yeah, 256. I don't remember the exact number for basically they're making enriched uranium and they needed these magnets, and they needed silver for these magnets. They pulled the silver out of the Treasury. They built the most secret facility in the world in Oak Ridge, Tennessee, to make the first atom bomb, and then they continued using it. They said, the reports are that they put the silver back after the war was over, which is completely ridiculous because you just invented the most technologically advanced machine in the world. It didn't work at first. Then you finally got to work by adding more silver, basically, and then you shut it down after you created the world's most powerful weapon. I don't think so. There would be no reason to put it back into the U.S. Treasury, so it was not put back. So that's what Kennedy was dealing with, is that the silver is still at the Y-12 facility. There's no silver in the vault in the United States in the early 1960s, so Kennedy was trying to create silver certificates, which obviously would not need silver. So we'll see what happens with the documents that Kennedy, the Kennedy JFK assassination, if it reveals any silver secrets. But then I went on to, there's more silver secrets that I found later. And this is from reading General Graves' book. General Graves was in charge of the program in Oak Ridge, Tennessee. Here's some quotes on page 107. The administrator decided that the need for copper should be reduced by substituting for it silver borrowed from the U.S. Treasury. Colonel Marshall thereupon called upon the Secretary of the Treasury, Daniel Bell. Mr. Bell said that he might be able to make some 47,000 tons of free silver together with 39,000 tons more, which could be released from the backup silver certificates if Congress authorized its use through appropriate legislation, which they did. Very interesting that the amount of silver offered up was available for lending was not only the 500 million ounces, but or so, but rather 2.75 billion ounces. And then on page 107, this is the interesting thing. Page 107. Now, this is General Graves, the guy who was in charge of the project. This book is called Now It Can Be Told. Under the terms of the final agreement, the silver required by the project was to be withdrawn from the West Point Depository. 6 months after the end of the war, an equal amount of silver would be returned to the Treasury. It was further agreed that no information would be given to the press on the removal of the silver, and the Treasury would continue to carry on their daily balance sheets. There you go. Does the U.S. Treasury lie about the amount of gold and the amount of silver in the world? Absolutely. There's proof from one of the highest ranking generals of the time. And what else do you need to know? And then page 109, many of the precautions we took were aimed at primarily concealing our interest in silver. Talk about a smoking gun. And here's one of the balance sheets for this. Remember, they didn't have, Excel back then. They had to use these things of all the silver that went in. That's just one of many. So there you go. Yeah, go to roadtoruta.com and you can find all this stuff on the silver mystery. Just type in Great Silver Mystery and you'll get all the articles. Or you can just look at a video. Those are always fun. Go to my Road to Ruta Theory videos. It's a playlist at Road to Ruta, the Road to Ruta YouTube website. And here it is right here. Alert! Secret silver hoard of 2.75 billion ounces. And it walks you through the entire thing. It shows some footage of the facility and talks about the silver. Really good. I love this video. It's one of the best I've ever done. You click on it right here.
CarMax, we buy all the cars.
Secret hidden hoard, 2.5 billion ounces. So, yeah, go check it out, and you will see exactly what I'm talking about. And hopefully, very soon, today, we will get the release of the remaining JFK documents, and I will be scouring them for any mention of silver. Anyway, this is Bix Weir, roadtoruta.com with your morning Horn of Z's. I'll talk to you later.